Everyone, hope everything is going well. I have a few cards over here before I begin this video. There is Bill Mazeroski, TTM autograph, rest in peace. I wanted to cover this. I just wanted to tell people, if these athletes are alive from back in the day and you respect what they did, try to get their autograph. You know, whether it's TTM, whether it's going to a show online, should do so. And it shows you the history of the game. If you looked at the last couple of World Series that were intense, the Blue Jays versus the Dodgers, that was crazy. The Chicago Cubs versus the Cleveland Indians at the time, their name. Those were amazing Game 7 games. But if you go back to the early 60s, you had the Yankees versus the Pirates, and the Pirates won walk-off home run by Bill Mazeroski. Game 7. That is amazing. Okay? Now, to something crazy. I love the decision set. The decision set has all these guys related to the Epstein list, files, whatever you want to call it. And this dude, he testified to Congress, basically, or in D.C., that, oh no, I stopped communication with Epstein in 2005. But then later on, you see all these Epstein-related emails with this dude. And he's still in D.C. Like, no one's holding this guy accountable. This is the dude that decided to go to his kid's first day of school without taking a day off in 20 years. He's a Cantor Fitzgerald. And that building collapsed. And he got away. His brother passed away, but he got unscathed because he went to his kid's first day. Could just be a coincidence. You know, could also be a coincidence later on he was Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor. It could also be a coincidence that he was buddies with Larry Silverstein. And Larry Silverstein's building collapsed, you know, on its own volition. Or people say, oh, that happened because of debris. Whatever story you want to believe. Everything just seems like a coincidence to me. If you want to look at another coincidence in sports cards, let's look at loaded boxes. And the CEO of Fanatics having conversations with a bunch of pushback content creators. Now, I could have actually, there was a mutual contact that I had as part of Fanatics. And he said, there's a special project going on. Let me know if you're interested. I didn't get back to this guy. Now I know what it was, is to have a conversation with Mahan. I didn't want to. Later, knowing that others did. And the reason is it was behind closed doors. For me now to have a conversation with some of these big guys, it would have to be live. And I did one with Ken Golden. It was, you know, I did have the conversation with him. It wasn't off the record for the most part. But a lot of the things that he told me, I discussed in the video from a couple of years ago. Okay? And I couldn't get a hold of, you know, the Spiegel brothers lawsuit. And we know all sorts of crazy things have come out in terms of that. But I wanted to talk about the CEO talking to guys like the professor. And the professor did get into some details. I know Dan didn't really get into details, but professor did. And professor used actually some of the material that I've used about loaded boxes. And what Mike Mahan was saying is like, no, there's no loaded boxes, no hot boxes. We are a company. It's close to $1 billion. We would be under legal scrutiny. And then he brought up, okay, here's some certain examples. What about the Griezmann situation, where Ruben and Griezmann pull a rare Jackie Robinson card? You're telling me that an average Joe can do that? And a rare Mike Trout card? Like, well, what's going on with that? Right? And then he brought up the situation that I discussed. And it was regarding Chasing Cardboard. Chasing Cardboard said in a video, courtesy of Topps, that he got a box from Fanatics, Topps, and a kid pulled a scarce Mike Trout acetate card. Probably worth over $1,000. And in that video, Chasing Cardboard dude said, hey, I've opened so many packs, but I've never been able to get this card. Huh. No such thing as loaded or hot boxes. And he thanked Fanatics and Topps for that product before the video. Okay, could be another coincidence. Just like Mr. Howard Lutnick not going to work on 9/11. And just like Larry Silverstein's building just coincidentally collapsing on 9/11. Okay? If you want to look at other instances, there's the Kate Cunningham video with Pac-Man and Mojo, and they're getting these autograph cards of Kate Cunningham. Like, what are the odds of that? It's probably really, really low of pulling that. And the only explanation is it's a hot box. Ultimately, with all these examples, and I'll get into a few other. There was that Hobby Box Luke guy, whatever his name was, in Britain, London. And he said that there's hot boxes. And Fanatics threatened to sue him. That's what I would ask. I'd be like, okay, tell me a little more about that. He's like, oh, I wouldn't be able to get into that. That's what Mike Mahan would say. That's why Fanatics did this behind closed doors. They did not want this out in the open. They are very keen on having or controlling the narrative. And controlling the narrative, they made sure that they had those conversations, not live, not recorded. And if they're having it with someone like me, they would not want to have it live, because then I could slice and dice so many things. I could then be like, okay, this Hunter Page guy, he said that he wants to do collaborations with celebrities and famous people. One of them is Karl Anthony Towns. Karl Anthony Towns pulled a Yakamoto scarce autograph card. I think it was shortly after the World Series. What are the odds of that happening? I can pretty much tell you that is pretty hard to find. Okay? You're just looking at all of these things. It looks suspicious. It looks shady. Not only that, what I would have asked this guy on a live, I'd be like, okay, why does Michael Rubin hang out with shady dealers, shady guys? I mean, you're associated with a former cocaine dude, and he's dropping his $80 million at a show. Where'd the money come from? Don't you have an FBI director to look at all of these things? Right? Don't you have an FBI director to look at these hot boxes, to look at all these claims? That's what Jeff Wilson told Cage Lawyer, that they hired this guy from the FBI to make sure there's no hot boxes, but there's hot boxes. So what's going on? Not only that, I would be like, okay, just the other day, no one in the hobby wants to, first of all, cover the Epstein files. Everyone gets mad when I show Thomas Massey card. I get unfollowed on X for showing that. Or MTG. Or Rokana. Or any of these guys going after the Epstein files. Right? It's all quiet on the Western Front regarding that. But other issues, they're going to be clamoring about that, the hobbyists. Putting that aside, I would be like, yo, you have Jay-Z investing $300 million in this hobby, and he was listed in the Epstein files. Like, do you have any comment towards that? And they would not like it at all. Because, once again, their legal team, their PR team, they don't like these type of issues. They don't like the fact that there's a lot of scrutiny with Fanatics. A lot of bad PR. And I could go on and on and on with some of the DMs that I've gotten. So, anyways, let me know your thoughts about all this, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.